Hello and welcome guys. In this video, we are going to we are going to understand how we can handle our missing datas. Actually, we can handle our missing datas by three methods. The first method is deletion of data. The second method is encoding missingness, and third method is imputation method. The first method, deletion of data. This is the simplest approach. We can just remove our entire attribute or sample so that we can handle our missing values. In this method, we are going to just delete that data so that there is no missing values. So deletion of data can be done in two cases. There are two parts. First, we can just delete the attribute or we can delete the sample. It is a note when we have to delete. So we can only delete the data when we have large amount of already data present in it. But if our dataset contains a small number of samples, it is not desirable to remove that sample. So going with the first method, and when it is important, when we can delete the attributes, we can delete the attributes only when we have just 10 to 20% of data and we have to predict 80 to 90% of data. It means if our 80 to 90% of data in our any kind of attribute is missing, then we can choose deletion of data. Next, we have deletion of sample. When we can delete our sample, it is good to delete any kind of sample when we have large amount of data, and remove a sample doesn't affect any kind of any kind of inaccuracy in our model. Going with the first step, deletion of attribute, we can just start it by creating a temp variable which is just copying the data frame, and next we are going to set an attribute threshold of 25%, and next we are going to count we are going to just set this percentage such that if any kind of attribute have more than 25% of missing values, then we are going to delete that attribute. Now we are just going to drop that attribute by df underscore temp dot drop, selecting the column and selecting the whole column wise, and we are going to replace it by nothing. We are just going to delete it by using drop method. Now we are going to get the numerical summary by get numerical summary function which we have created in previous lecture. Now we are going to delete that temporary variable which we have created to understand this. Here we haven't delete any kind of attribute because none of the attribute have lesser number of sample than 25%. The next step is we can also delete some samples of our data. We can we can also set the threshold of when we have to delete the sample. First thing first, we have to create a temporary variable df underscore temp, which is copying the df dot copy variable. We are just copying the data frame variable such that we can get the whole data. The next step is we are going to get the missing count of each variable and or each attribute which are missing, which means we are going to count missing count of each sample just by we are just taking an index pointer and which is ranging over the whole indexes, and we are just going to sum all the missing. If there is a missing value, then we are going to count that. Now when we have to delete that missing values, if The sample is if means if our missing count is greater than sample threshold, then we are going to drop that value, drop that whole sample. Okay. Now we are going to do this by using a variable called drop. Delete the variable, and we are going we have here a if condition which is showing that if the missing values in our data frame underscore temp variable is greater than our threshold, then we are going to drop that value simply. Now here we can see our sample before removal and after removal are same. This is because this is because the we have no such samples whose sample threshold is greater than 5. Now we are going to delete our temporary variable by just putting del, which means delete our temporary variable. Next, we are going to understand encoding missingness. We can also use another value in our missing value. For example, when attributes are in discrete in nature, or missingness can be directly encoded attribute as if it is naturally occurring category. For example, our data sample is not in continuous manner. For example, if we have a cabin section in our dataset which have 687 missing values, so we can assign a new categories to these missing values. We can get the missing columns from our dataset just by categorizing missing calls. This function in this cat missing call is a list of all the all the objects, all the attributes in our missing columns. We can get it by just typing that variable again. Now we are going to count the number of missing values in our missing columns just by this. Now here we can see the missing column attribute. If any kind of data is missing in our cabin section, we are going to replace it by missing, just missing, just missing keyword. It's a missing keyword. We can write it anything here, missing or none, whatever kind of variable you want to use, you can use it here. Next, we are going to get the information of our missing column just by typing the variable, data frame variable, and here we are going to select the column of column that is missing, column that are missing. That's info. Now we can see here there are two columns which we have seen earlier, cabin and embract, and there is no such object which is missing in it. So we have created a successfully missing encoded. We have successfully encoded our missing values. Next, we are going to understand how we can handle our missing data with imputation method. Up to here, thanks for watching.